Kindness has a glow to it. It makes people smile, it makes moments softer, and it has the power to turn a bad day into something bearable. But there is a hidden cost that few are willing to talk about. When kindness is given without thought, without balance, without boundaries, it begins to rot from the inside. What was once an act of strength becomes a habit of self-erasure. You keep saying yes because you don't want to disappoint. You keep helping because you don't want to be seen as selfish. You keep giving because you think that's what makes you a good person. And at first, it feels noble. It feels right. But slowly, almost without noticing, it becomes your cage. You wake up already tired, not from the work ahead, but from the weight of promises you've made to everyone else. You run from one task to another, carrying burdens that aren't yours, solving problems that others should solve for themselves. Your time stops belonging to you. Your energy stops belonging to you. Even your thoughts are occupied by how to make others happy. You smile through it, convincing yourself that this is what good people do. But deep down, a quiet resentment begins to grow. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, the realization that your life is no longer your own. Every yes you give without thought chips away at your strength. It's not just the hours you lose. It's the focus, the rest, the quiet moments that you sacrifice. You tell yourself you'll rest later, that you'll take care of yourself when things calm down. But things never calm down. The more you give, the more they take. Not because the world is evil, but because people are quick to adapt to what you allow. If you are always available, you will always be called. If you never say no, no one will think you need to. The dangerous part is that it doesn't happen all at once. No one steals all your time in a single day. It's taken in pieces, a small favor here, an extra hour there, one more task added to your already full plate. At first, it feels harmless. You tell yourself it's just this once, just for now. But just this once becomes your default. Before long, people no longer see your kindness as a choice. They see it as your role, your duty, your identity. And that's when the cage clicks shut. There's a kind of exhaustion that coffee can't fix, that sleep can't heal. It's the exhaustion of living for everyone but yourself. The exhaustion of giving all your light away until you are standing in darkness. You start losing the joy that once made you want to help. You start feeling used, even if no one is openly exploiting you. You begin to question why you're never on your own list of priorities. You tell yourself you're strong enough to carry it all, but deep down, you know strength isn't about carrying everything. Strength is about knowing what to carry and what to put down. Kindness, real kindness, comes from a place of choice. It is powerful because it is deliberate. But when kindness becomes automatic, when it's driven by fear, fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being disliked, it's no longer kindness. It's submission. And submission doesn't inspire respect. It invites dependency. The more you allow it, the less people see your giving as special. They see it as expected. And when you finally hesitate, when you finally say no, they'll look at you like you've betrayed them. This is why kindness without boundaries is dangerous. It teaches people how to treat you. And if you teach them that your needs don't matter, they'll believe you. You think you're being generous, but what you're really doing is training others to value you only for what you can give them. And when you stop giving, they'll see no reason to stay. That's the cruel truth. People who love you only for your kindness will disappear when it no longer benefits them. The person in the mirror, smiling despite the tired eyes, needs someone to stand up for them, needs someone to protect their time, their peace, their dreams. That someone is you. No one else is coming to set those boundaries for you. No one else will tell you when to stop. If you don't guard your own energy, the world will take it all, not out of malice, but out of habit. And you'll have built that habit for them, one yes at a time. So the question is not whether kindness is good. Of course it is. The question is whether your kindness is killing you slowly. Are you giving because you want to, or because you're afraid not to? Are you helping because it matters, or because you don't know how to stop? These are not easy questions to ask yourself. But if you don't, the slow erosion of your spirit will continue, and one day, you'll wake up realizing that you've lived more for others than for yourself. Kindness is a gift, but gifts mean nothing if you give away the very thing you need to survive. If you break yourself to keep others whole, what have you really accomplished? If your light goes out because you've lit too many other candles, what will be left for you? You cannot help from an empty place. You cannot build others if you are falling apart. A beautiful thing becomes destructive when it is used without wisdom. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are gates to protect what matters. And you, your time, your energy, your peace, they matter. When you say no to the wrong things, you make space for the right things. You make space for kindness that is genuine, sustainable, and respected. Kindness should be powerful, not pitiful. It should be an act of strength, not a desperate grasp for approval. It should make you stand taller, not collapse from the weight of everyone else's demands. If your kindness has become your prison, the key is in your hand. The choice is yours, and it begins the moment you realize that saying yes to yourself is not selfish, it's survival. Because kindness is beautiful, but without boundaries, it will cost you everything. And nothing, not approval, not gratitude, not the illusion of being needed, is worth your soul. Kindness can start as one of your greatest strengths, the quiet force that draws people to you, builds trust, and creates bonds. It feels good to help, to be the one people know they can rely on. But there is a point where that same strength begins to turn against you, where the balance tips, and what once empowered you starts to drain you. The shift is subtle, almost invisible at first. You don't notice it until you're deep in it, until you're so tired you can't remember the last time you did something for yourself without guilt. It happens in small ways. You cover for a coworker because they're having a rough week. Then it happens again the next week. And again. Soon, you're the go-to person whenever someone drops the ball. At first, you feel proud that they trust you. But slowly, the pride fades, replaced by a quiet resentment you try to push down. You wonder why no one ever steps in for you. You wonder why it's always your time, your energy, your peace that's sacrificed. The answer is simple. You've trained them to expect it. Or maybe it's money. A friend calls in a panic, rent is due, and you have just enough saved. You give it to them, telling yourself they'll pay you back quickly. They don't. You stay quiet because you don't want to seem petty. Months later, they ask again. You hesitate, but you give in. Now you're dipping into your own safety net, and every time you open your wallet, a knot tightens in your stomach. You start to realize the truth. You're not being generous anymore. You're being drained. Then there's time, the most valuable thing you have. You say yes to every invitation, every favor, every request for just a minute of your attention. You skip meals, sleep less, put your own work aside. You promise yourself you'll catch up later, but later never comes. The more you give, the more people assume you'll always be available. They stop seeing your yes as a gift. It becomes the baseline, the expectation. And when you finally say no, they react like you've broken an unspoken contract. The exhaustion is not just physical, it's emotional. You start to feel hollow, as if you've given away pieces of yourself to so many people that there's nothing left. You want to be kind, but you're running on fumes. You want to be helpful, but you feel like you're drowning. You tell yourself you're doing the right thing, but deep down, you know something is wrong. You've turned kindness into self-destruction. This is where resentment grows, not just toward others, but toward yourself. You resent the fact that people take advantage, but you also resent that you've allowed it. You start to feel trapped, because how do you stop now? How do you say no after years of saying yes? The truth is, some people won't like it. They'll accuse you of changing, but that's because your kindness has been serving them more than it's been serving you. The Stoics understood this long before we did. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus. They wrote about the importance of living in accordance with reason, of guarding your time and energy as fiercely as your life. Because in many ways, that is your life. You owe the world your best, but you don't owe it your destruction. You don't owe endless sacrifices that leave you empty. You don't owe people the parts of yourself that you need to stay whole. It's tempting to think that more kindness is always better, that the good person is the one who never refuses. But a kindness that comes at the expense of your well-being is not kindness. It's martyrdom. And martyrs burn out. Their fire dies, and with it, the good they could have continued to do if they had guarded themselves better. The danger is that people will rarely tell you when you've given too much. In fact, they'll often encourage you to give more. If you're the one who fixes problems, they'll keep bringing them to you. If you're the one who absorbs stress, they'll keep unloading it. You'll keep carrying burdens that aren't yours, thinking you're being strong, while your own goals, health, and peace slip further away. When kindness turns against you, it doesn't mean you stop being kind. It means you start being wise. It means you choose where and when to give, instead of giving to everyone, all the time. It means you stop pouring from a cup that's already empty. It means you recognize that saying no to someone else is sometimes the same as saying yes to yourself. The people who truly value you will understand. They won't disappear when you set limits. In fact, they'll respect you more because they'll see that your yes actually means something. It's deliberate, it's genuine, it's real. The ones who vanish or get angry, they were never there for you. They were there for what you could give them. So the question is not whether you should be kind. You should. The question is whether your kindness is building you or breaking you. Is it making you stronger, or is it wearing you down until you're a shadow of yourself? You cannot serve the world well if you've destroyed yourself in the process. The Stoic path is about balance, giving what is right to give, withholding what is necessary to protect your inner peace. Because when kindness turns against you, it's not the world's fault. It's yours for letting it go that far. And the only way to fix it is to decide, here and now, that you will never again give so much of yourself that there's nothing left. People often imagine that kindness will be met with kindness, that when you give freely, help without hesitation, and put others first, they will respond with gratitude, respect, and the same generosity in return. Sometimes that's true, but not always. There's a darker reality that people rarely want to acknowledge. Not everyone values kindness. Not everyone sees it as something to be honored or reciprocated. Some see it as an opportunity, a resource, a weakness they can use to their advantage. At first, it can be subtle. You offer to help someone out, and they thank you. The next time, they ask for a little more. Then more often. Before you realize it, the help you offered voluntarily has become an expectation. The warmth in their tone when they ask for something shifts into irritation if you hesitate. It's not gratitude anymore, it's entitlement. They've stopped seeing your kindness as a gift and started seeing it as your duty. The real test comes the first time you say no. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you just don't want to, which is a perfectly valid reason. But you decline, and the air changes. The smile disappears. The friendliness fades. Suddenly, the person you thought appreciated you is cold, distant, even hostile. And it hits you. They weren't here for you. They were here for what you could give them. Why does this happen? Because for some people, kindness is not a virtue to admire. It's a signal. A signal that you can be persuaded, that you can be leaned on, that you will keep saying yes because you want to avoid conflict, because you fear disappointing others, because you want to be seen as a good person. To them, this isn't admirable, it's exploitable. This is why certain personalities are drawn to overly kind, accommodating people. They sense the willingness to bend, to sacrifice, to put their own needs last. And for people who operate from self-interest, this is a perfect arrangement. You give, they take, and the balance of power stays in their favor. The more you give, the less they respect you. And the cruel twist is that they'll often disguise this exploitation in language that makes you feel guilty if you try to stop it. They'll say things like, "I thought you were different. You've changed. Wow, I didn't expect this from you." What they mean is, you're no longer giving me everything I want, and I don't like that. The truth is, people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. This isn't about blame, it's about responsibility. If you never set boundaries, if you never say enough, then you are silently giving permission for the cycle to continue. You're teaching them that your time, your energy, your peace can be taken without limit. And once people learn they can take without consequences, many of them will take more. Not because they're inherently evil, but because human nature often follows the path of least resistance. The Stoics understood this long before we put it into modern words. They spoke about the importance of self-respect, of living with integrity, and of refusing to compromise your principles for the sake of approval. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we are not here to please others at the expense of our own nature. If your kindness destroys your well-being, it's not kindness anymore, it's submission. There's a hard but liberating truth here. People respect what you protect. If you guard your time, they value it more. If you honor your own limits, they're more likely to honor them too. If you say no when you mean it, your yes gains weight. But if you're always available, always agreeable, always accommodating, then you erase the very boundaries that create respect. Some will call this selfishness, but it's not. It's self-preservation. There's a difference. Selfishness is taking more than your share. Self-preservation is refusing to let others take yours. And when you protect yourself, you're actually able to give more in the long run. because you're giving from a place of strength, not depletion. The challenge is emotional. Saying no can trigger guilt, especially if you've built your identity around being the nice one, the helper, the dependable friend. But this guilt is often misplaced. You're not doing wrong by protecting yourself. You're correcting a pattern that has been harming you. The ones who truly value you will understand. The ones who don't will reveal themselves the moment you stop giving them unlimited access to you. It's in that revelation, those cold looks, those withdrawn smiles, those sudden accusations, that you see the truth. The person wasn't drawn to your heart, your mind, your presence. They were drawn to the benefits of your compliance. And once those benefits dry up, so does their interest. It's a painful thing to learn, but it's also freeing. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start to notice patterns. The people who never ask how you're doing unless they need something. The ones who disappear when you're the one in need. The ones who turn defensive or angry when you dare to assert yourself. You begin to realize that your kindness is too valuable to be wasted on those who see it as weakness. From there, you can start teaching people how to treat you. You teach them by your actions, not just your words. You teach them by not over-explaining your no. You teach them by refusing to be guilt-tripped into self-sacrifice. You teach them by showing that your kindness is deliberate, not automatic, that it comes from strength, not fear of conflict. The irony is that when you start doing this, your relationships improve. The ones that survive are stronger, healthier, more balanced. The ones that fall away are the ones that needed to end. And in that process, you stop being a target for exploitation and start being respected for the value you bring, because it's no longer taken for granted. In the end, kindness is a gift, not a currency. You choose who receives it. You choose when to give it. And the moment you allow someone to believe they're entitled to it, you've stopped giving. You've started surrendering. Your life is too short, your energy too precious, and your peace too vital to be surrendered to those who would use it only for their own gain. Kindness should lift you and the other person. If it only lifts them while pulling you down, it's not kindness. It's a slow erosion of your worth. And the only way to stop it is to remember this truth. You are not here to be used. You are here to live with integrity, strength, and respect, starting with the respect you give yourself. There is a quiet cost that comes with never saying no. It doesn't show up on a receipt. It doesn't drain your bank account in a way you can measure, but it drains something far more valuable: your time, your energy, your sense of self. It often begins with good intentions. You want to be dependable. You want to be there for others. You want to be the kind of person people can count on. So when someone asks you for help, you say yes. You cancel the dinner you were looking forward to, the workout you promised yourself, the quiet evening you needed to recharge. You tell yourself it's fine. There will be other dinners, other workouts, other quiet evenings. But then it happens again, and again, and again. Soon, yes becomes your default response, even when every part of you is screaming for rest, for space, for your own priorities. You start living on other people's schedules, chasing their needs, attending to their emergencies. And your own life? It begins to fade into the background, waiting patiently for its turn, a turn that never seems to come. The loneliness of this choice is subtle but real. On the outside, you are surrounded by people. You're constantly interacting, constantly helping, constantly moving. But inside, you feel a growing emptiness. You're present for everyone else, but absent from yourself. You don't even realize when you stopped asking what you want, what you need. Your days become a series of obligations you never truly chose. This is the hidden danger of being always available. You may think it makes you selfless, generous, noble, and sometimes it does. But too often, it also makes you invisible, not in the eyes of others, but in your own. You stop being the main character in your own life and become a supporting role in everyone else's. You forget that every yes to them is also a no to you. The Stoics understood this trade-off clearly. They believed that time is the most precious possession you will ever have, far more valuable than money, fame, or recognition. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that we live as if we will live forever, wasting time as if it can be replenished. Seneca warned that people guard their wealth but squander their time, even though time is the one thing you can never earn back. When you say yes, without thought, you are spending this irreplaceable resource. You are giving away moments you will never get again. And for what? A temporary relief from guilt? The fleeting approval of someone who may not even notice the sacrifice you made. If you could see your time the way you see money, you would probably guard it with far more caution. You wouldn't give away your savings to anyone who asked. So why give away your hours, your days, your years so freely? There's also the matter of quality. When you're constantly overcommit, you can't give your best to anyone, not even to the people you're trying to help. Your kindness becomes thinner, stretched across too many obligations. Your patience wears down. Your joy fades. You start to feel resentful, even toward the people you genuinely care about. And resentment is the silent poison that turns kindness into bitterness. This is why no is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of preservation. It protects not only your time, but the quality of your yes. When you reserve your energy, your focus, and your attention for the commitments that truly matter, you give more fully and more genuinely. Your presence is no longer an obligation, it's a choice. The cost of never saying no is also measured in opportunities lost. Every time you fill your calendar with other people's priorities, you push your own dreams to the side. The book you wanted to write stays unwritten. The business you wanted to start remains an idea. The skills you wanted to develop never move beyond the first step. You look back years later and wonder where the time went, and realize you gave it away in small, unnoticed pieces. And yet, saying no can be terrifying. It can feel like a rejection of the other person, like you're letting them down, like you're breaking the image of yourself as the dependable one. But this fear is often exaggerated. The people who truly value you will understand when you set boundaries. The ones who don't respect those boundaries are revealing that they valued your compliance more than your well-being. That is not love. That is not friendship. That is convenience. Learning to say no is, in many ways, learning to say yes to yourself. It is reclaiming your time, your priorities, your life. It is refusing to trade your peace for the temporary comfort of pleasing others. It is the act of stepping back into the center of your own existence and remembering that you are not here just to keep everyone else happy. There is a deep dignity in this. When you start valuing your time, you send a message, not only to others, but to yourself, that your life matters, that your goals matter, that your well-being is worth protecting. And paradoxically, this self-respect often makes your relationships healthier. You stop giving from a place of depletion and start giving from a place of abundance. You stop feeling like a victim of your own kindness and start feeling like its rightful owner. This shift is not easy. At first, you might feel guilty. You might even feel selfish. That's because you're not used to protecting yourself. You're used to sacrificing yourself. But over time, you begin to see the difference. You notice that your energy lasts longer. You notice that you have more to give to the people who truly matter. You notice that you're not just surviving your days, but actually living them. In the end, every yes you give should be intentional, not automatic. It should come from a place of desire, not obligation. It should be a conscious choice, not a reflex. Because every time you say yes to someone else, you are saying no to something else. And that something might be the very thing that would make your life richer, fuller, and more meaningful. The Stoic way is simple. Guard your time as you would guard your most precious possession. Because that's exactly what it is. When it's gone forever. And no amount of kindness will bring it back. True kindness is not the act of giving endlessly until there is nothing left of you. It is not the constant surrender of your time, your energy, your resources, simply because someone asks. Real kindness is not measured by how much of yourself you can erase for others. It is measured by the integrity and balance with which you give. And that balance is built on boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your well-being, your priorities, and your sense of self. They are the quiet, yet powerful rules you set for how you will allow others to treat you, and how much of yourself you are willing to give. Without them, kindness becomes a self-consuming fire, burning bright for others while leaving you in ashes. With them, kindness becomes sustainable, healthy, and real. The truth is, people who have no boundaries often confuse approval for connection. They say yes because they fear that no will make them unlikable, selfish, or cold. They imagine that others will think less of them if they refuse a request or decline an invitation. So they keep giving, keep showing up, keep saying yes, even when their body and mind are begging for rest. At first, it feels noble. Over time, it feels like suffocation. Boundaries change this dynamic entirely. When you calmly and respectfully say no, you are not closing the door on kindness. You are making sure the kindness you do offer comes from a place of authenticity, not obligation. You are ensuring that when you say yes, it is because you truly want to, not because you are afraid of the consequences of refusal. This difference is subtle, but it changes everything. Imagine someone asks you for help with a task that will consume your entire weekend, a weekend you had planned to rest and recharge. Without boundaries, you might cancel your plans, telling yourself that your comfort can wait, that being helpful is more important. But what happens next? You show up tired. You give your time, but your energy is low, your mind distracted. You leave feeling drained and maybe even resentful. That's not true kindness. That's sacrifice without purpose. Now imagine the same situation, but with boundaries in place. You thank them for thinking of you, but explain that you already have plans you need to honor. You decline without guilt because you understand that protecting your time is not selfish, it's responsible. You keep your weekend to recharge, and later, when you do help them or someone else, you are fully present, energized, and genuine. That is the difference boundaries make. The act of saying no is often misunderstood. Many think it is a rejection of the other person. In truth, it is an affirmation of your values. It is saying, I will not allow my life to be directed entirely by outside demands. I will honor my own needs so that when I choose to give, it comes from strength, not depletion. This is not coldness. This is wisdom. From a Stoic perspective, boundaries are not about building walls to keep people out. They are about defining the space in which your life can flourish. The Stoics taught that you cannot control other people's demands, but you can control how you respond to them. A clear boundary is an exercise in self-mastery. It says, this is where I stand. This is what I will give. This is where I must protect myself. Boundaries also have a way of clarifying relationships. When you begin to set them, you may notice something interesting. The people who truly respect you will respect your limits. They may even admire you for them. The ones who react with anger, manipulation, or guilt, they were never interested in you as a person. They were interested in what you could give them. Boundaries have a way of revealing who values you and who values only your compliance. There is also a deeper kindness in boundaries. They prevent you from enabling harmful behavior. If you keep saying yes to someone who exploits your generosity, you are not helping them. You are helping them avoid the consequences of their actions. By setting a limit, you force them to adapt, to take responsibility, to grow. In this way, a well-placed no can be a greater act of kindness than an exhausted yes. Self-respect is the foundation here. Without it, boundaries feel impossible. With it, they become natural. When you truly respect yourself, you understand that your time is finite, your energy is limited, and your life has its own priorities. You stop seeing boundaries as selfish and start seeing them as essential. You realize that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that keeping your cup full is not greed, but stewardship. Think of it like tending a fire. If you give away all your wood at once, the fire dies, and you are left in the cold. But if you ration it wisely, if you protect it from the wind, if you feed it at the right pace, it burns steady and warm for a long time. Your kindness is the same. Without boundaries, it flares brightly but burns out quickly. With boundaries, it becomes a lasting source of light and warmth. Setting boundaries will not always feel comfortable. At first, you may feel the pull of old habits, the urge to explain yourself excessively, to soften your refusal until it sounds like a maybe, to give in when someone pushes back. But with practice, you learn that you don't owe anyone elaborate justifications for protecting your well-being. A simple, respectful, I can't commit to that right now, is enough. You also begin to see that boundaries are not only about saying no to others, they are about saying yes to yourself. They create space for your own priorities, your health, your relationships, your passions, your rest. They make room for the life you want to live, instead of a life dictated entirely by other people's needs. And when you do give to others from that place of balance, it feels better for both you and them. In time, the fear of disappointing others fades, replaced by a quiet confidence. You no longer define your worth by how much you can endure or how many demands you can meet. You define it by how authentically you can live, how honestly you can show up, and how wisely you can give. People begin to notice the difference. Your yes feels more genuine, your presence more intentional, your kindness more meaningful. Boundaries are real kindness because they allow your generosity to be a choice, not a compulsion. They ensure that your acts of giving are sustainable, that you are not quietly destroying yourself in the process. They protect not only you, but the quality of the love, help, and care you offer to others. In the end, boundaries are not a barrier to connection. They are the foundation for it. Without them, relationships become imbalanced, built on expectation instead of respect. With them, relationships thrive, built on mutual understanding and genuine care. Saying no when you must is not the end of kindness. It is the act that keeps kindness alive. Self-respect is not the opposite of compassion. It is what makes compassion possible in the long run. And the more you honor your boundaries, the more your kindness will endure, deepening instead of depleting over time. Kindness without strength is like a ship without a rudder. It drifts wherever the wind of other people's demands pushes it. It might look graceful on the surface, but inside, it is directionless, vulnerable, and easily taken advantage of. The Stoics understood this well. They saw virtue not as blind generosity or endless self-sacrifice, but as the disciplined alignment of your actions with your principles. Marcus Aurelius's reminder, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself," speaks directly to this truth. It's easy to misinterpret tolerance as weakness, as if tolerating others means letting them walk over you. But in the Stoic sense, tolerance is patience, understanding, and compassion toward human imperfection. It is knowing that people will make mistakes, that they will sometimes be selfish, careless, or even ungrateful, and meeting this reality without bitterness. However, this tolerance is balanced by a strictness toward yourself. You do not lower your standards simply because others fail to meet theirs. You hold yourself accountable to your own values, even when those around you do not. This is the foundation of kindness with strength, a generosity rooted in principle, not in fear of rejection or desire for approval. It means you help where help is meaningful, but never in a way that destroys your own dignity or health. Consider a person who says yes to every request. They help coworkers with projects long after their own workday ends. They lend money to friends who never pay it back. They listen endlessly to other people's problems while neglecting their own. Outwardly, they seem noble, the selfless friend, the reliable colleague, the one everyone can count on. But under the surface, they are exhausted, quietly resentful, and losing touch with their own needs. This is not Stoic kindness. This is a kind of slavery to the approval of others. The Stoic way demands something harder, the courage to be kind without being consumed. It is the ability to help when you can, but also to walk away when the cost is too high. It is giving with a steady hand, not an open wound. This requires self-discipline. You must be clear about what you value and where your limits lie. If your health is deteriorating because you are always putting others first, you are violating one of the Stoic principles, the care of your own mind and body. If your dignity is eroded because you allow people to exploit your kindness, you are compromising your character. And in Stoicism, your character is the only true possession you have. Kindness with strength means you understand the difference between compassion and enabling. When someone continually makes poor choices and expects you to rescue them, endless help may only reinforce their dependence or irresponsibility. The stronger kindness is to step back, to let them face the consequences of their actions, and to be there only when your support will truly help them grow. It also means you are not easily manipulated by guilt. People who take advantage of kindness often use guilt as a weapon, implying that saying no makes you selfish, ungrateful, or heartless. The Stoic response is to remember that your responsibility is to act in harmony with reason and virtue, not to please everyone. If an action will harm your well-being or compromise your principles, the rational choice is to decline, no matter how much pressure is applied. Strength and kindness also shows in the way you help. The Stoic does not give with strings attached, expecting repayment or gratitude. They give freely, but they also give wisely, choosing moments where their effort will have genuine impact, not just moments that will make them look good or feel temporarily virtuous. Their kindness is measured, intentional, and built to last. There is also humility in this approach. The Stoic knows they cannot save everyone, nor is it their duty to do so. They understand that people must walk their own paths, make their own mistakes, and learn their own lessons. Trying to shield others from every hardship is not only exhausting, it can rob them of the opportunity to grow. A person practicing kindness with strength does not fear conflict when it is necessary. If someone crosses a boundary, they will address it directly and calmly. They will not lash out in anger, but they will make it clear that disrespect will not be tolerated. This firmness is not cruelty. It is a form of respect, both for themselves and for the other person. In practice, kindness with strength might look like this. You help a friend move to a new apartment, but only on a day when you have the time and energy, rather than canceling important commitments to accommodate them. You listen to a loved one's struggles with compassion, but you do not let them use you as an emotional dumping ground day after day without seeking real solutions. You contribute to a project at work, but you refuse to take on tasks that others are simply too lazy to do themselves. In each case, you are still kind. You still contribute, still care, still show up. But you do so with boundaries. You give in ways that do not destroy you. From the Stoic point of view, this is not just a personal choice. It is a moral one. Your body, mind, and energy are entrusted to you as a kind of stewardship. If you recklessly deplete yourself, you are failing in that responsibility. To give wisely is to ensure you remain strong enough to continue giving, not just today, but for years to come. And here lies the paradox. People respect kindness more when it comes with strength. Endless, boundaryless giving often breeds entitlement. People start to see your help as something they deserve, not something they appreciate. But when your kindness is offered with deliberation and restraint, it retains its value. People understand that your yes means something because it is not automatic. The Stoic way asks you to be tolerant with others because life is messy and people are flawed. But it also asks you to be strict with yourself, to hold yourself to the highest standard of integrity, self-care, and wisdom. This balance keeps you from becoming bitter on one hand or burned out on the other. It allows you to remain generous without being consumed, patient without being passive, and compassionate without being exploited. Kindness with strength is not about doing less for others. It is about doing it better. It is about choosing to help in ways that align with your values, protect your well-being, and encourage true growth in those you help. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that your worth does not depend on how much you sacrifice, but on how well you live in accordance with your principles. And when you practice this balance, something remarkable happens. Your kindness deepens. It stops being an exhausting performance and becomes a steady presence. You give because you choose to, not because you feel you must. You help without resentment. You care without losing yourself. This is the kind of kindness that endures, the kind that uplifts without destroying, the kind the Stoics would recognize as true virtue. Kindness without strength is not virtue, it is self-betrayal. It may feel noble to give endlessly, to always say yes, to be the person who never refuses anyone's request. It may win you praise in the short term. People will call you generous, dependable, and selfless. But beneath those compliments, something dangerous is happening. You are giving yourself away, piece by piece, until there is nothing left for you. The truth is simple. Kindness, when stripped of boundaries, becomes a slow form of self-erasure. You stop living for yourself and start living for the demands of others. You begin to measure your worth not by who you are, but by how much you can provide and how little you ask in return. This is not compassion, it is surrender. The Stoics would warn you against this. They would remind you that your life, your time, your energy, and your mind are not inexhaustible. They are precious and limited resources. Once lost, they cannot be reclaimed. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should guard our minds more carefully than we guard our physical possessions. And yet, how often do people allow their mental and emotional reserves to be drained by anyone who asks? When you give without strength, you teach the world that your needs are negotiable, that your time is free, that your boundaries are optional. The wrong people, and there will always be wrong people, will notice. They will keep coming back, not because they respect you, but because they know you won't say no. What starts as kindness becomes an invitation for exploitation. And here's the danger. Over time, this dynamic doesn't just harm you physically and emotionally. It changes how you see yourself. You begin to believe that your value lies in being useful, in always showing up for others, even when they do not show up for you. You stop expecting reciprocity. You stop expecting respect. You start accepting crumbs in relationships, in friendships, in work, because you've convinced yourself that giving is enough, even when it is not returned. Kindness without strength erodes self-respect. You cannot truly respect yourself if you allow others to consistently disregard your limits. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you send yourself the message that your needs don't matter. And after enough repetitions, you begin to believe it. The tragedy is that the people who truly deserve your kindness, those who value, respect, and care for you, often receive less of it, because your energy has been spent on those who take without giving. The world loses something when a kind person burns out. Your best self, the self that can give meaningfully and sustainably, disappears when you are depleted. This is why the voiceover's warning matters. Give, but never give yourself away. You can be generous without being consumed. You can help without being drained. The difference lies in boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out. They are gates that you open with intention. They let in the people and situations worthy of your energy and keep out the ones that would waste it. Protecting your boundaries is not selfishness. It is self-respect. The Stoic perspective would frame it as living in alignment with nature and reason. Nature does not demand that you exhaust yourself for the sake of others. Even the sun sets. Even the oceans have shores. Everything in nature has limits, and so must you. When you choose who deserves your kindness, you are making a moral decision. You are deciding that your effort will be used for what is good, just, and meaningful, not for what is manipulative, toxic, or destructive. This is not about being cold or indifferent. It is about being wise. Ask yourself, who has earned the right to my energy? Who treats my time with respect? Who values my help instead of expecting it? Who gives back, even in small ways? These questions will reveal more than you think. The people who truly value you will not make you feel guilty for protecting your boundaries. They will respect them. The call to action is clear. Protect your boundaries. Choose who deserves your kindness. This means learning to say no without guilt. It means recognizing when someone is taking more than they give. It means having the courage to step back from relationships, jobs, or commitments that drain you without nourishing you. It also means confronting the uncomfortable truth that not everyone who asks for your help should receive it. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them face the consequences of their choices. Sometimes, helping them in the moment only prolongs their struggle. Boundaries are not just for your protection. They can also be a gift to others, teaching them responsibility, resilience, and independence. Walking this path requires strength because it will not always be popular. People who are used to your endless yes will not like your no. They may accuse you of changing, of being selfish, of no longer caring. They may try to guilt you back into compliance. But here is where your resolve must hold. You are not here to live by the approval of those who take advantage of you. You are here to live by your principles, and one of those principles must be the preservation of your well-being. Kindness with strength is not about giving less. It is about giving wisely. It is about ensuring that your kindness is sustainable, so you can continue to give without resentment or depletion. It is about valuing yourself enough to know that you are worthy of the same care and respect you offer to others. The Stoics would see this as part of justice, the virtue of giving each person what they deserve, including yourself. Justice is not served when you give all to others and leave nothing for yourself. A society cannot flourish when its most generous people are exploited into silence and burnout. Imagine a life where your kindness is intentional, where you give freely but with discernment. You are surrounded by people who respect you, who do not expect you to sacrifice yourself for them, who appreciate your yes because they know it is given willingly. You have energy left for your passions, your growth, your well-being. You are not bitter because you have not allowed yourself to be drained. You are not resentful because your kindness is given to those who value it. This is not a fantasy. It is the natural result of combining kindness with strength. It is what happens when you decide that your life is yours first and that you will give from abundance, not from emptiness. So the final message is this: give, but never give yourself away. Be generous, but not to the point of erasing yourself. Protect your time, your energy, and your dignity as fiercely as you protect those you care about. Boundaries are not the enemy of kindness. They are its safeguard. Because kindness without strength will drain you. But kindness with strength will sustain you. And when you protect your boundaries, you do more than protect yourself. You protect the quality and depth of the kindness you can offer to the world.